Welcome to the deep dive. What if I told you that the reason you can't break a bad habit is the exact same reason a multi-billion-dollar company fails to innovate? It sounds impossible, but there's a hidden code that drives all human action, from our smallest personal choice to the largest organizational shift. By the end of this video, you will understand this code. You'll see the invisible levers that shape our behavior, our performance, and even our happiness at work. But first, we need to understand why a stubborn old fisherman who refused to quit smoking holds the key to it all. Imagine trying to convince someone to quit a lifelong habit. You use logic, you appeal to their family, you explain how they'll live longer, but they just look at you and say, "I'm sure I will die whether or not I quit smoking. I've smoked all my life." Logic failed. Now picture a farmer named Umar. He's offered a practical, scientific way to store his crops, but he dismisses it for a magical solution. Until one day, rats destroy his entire harvest. Suddenly, facing that real-world disaster, he runs back for the scientific advice. Why did logic fail in one case, while a crisis succeeded in the other? The answer isn't about intelligence or willpower, it's about uncovering the invisible forces that secretly run our lives. There's a powerful mantra that guides this exploration. What's been revealed can be healed. It's an invitation to get curious about the unconscious triggers behind what we do. The first step is to simply make the unconscious conscious. Pick a habit, any habit, and investigate it like a detective. When does it kick in? What time of day? What situation? What seemingly unrelated thing do you do that enables it later? Once you shine a light on the hidden machinery of a habit, you can start to redesign it. That's where a powerful tool called the Designing for Behavior Change framework comes in. Think of it as a roadmap. It starts by defining the exact behavior you want to change with crystal clarity. Then it identifies who needs to change and who can influence them. But the real magic is in finding what are called the determinants. These are the unseen currents beneath the surface, the feelings, beliefs, or environmental factors that either support a behavior or prevent it. They can be internal, like your belief in your own ability, which is called self-efficacy. Or they can be external, like social pressure, company policy, or even perceived divine will. The fisherman's determinant wasn't logic. It was his belief that his fate was sealed by God. Umar's determinant wasn't a lack of information. It was only shifted by the direct negative consequence of losing his food and the social proof of seeing his neighbor succeed. To find these powerful determinants, you can use a technique called a barrier analysis. You simply interview two groups, people already doing the behavior you want, the doers, and people who aren't, the non-doers. When you find a question where their answers are dramatically different, you've likely found a key determinant, a real lever for change. But this isn't just about personal habits. These same hidden drivers operate with even greater force inside our workplaces. It starts with something as fundamental as authenticity. We all know unethical behavior is wrong. But what about an entrepreneur telling a legitimacy lie? Exaggerating prospects to secure funding that saves the company. It's a tricky line to walk. The data shows that prolonged inauthenticity, where your personal values clash with your work, always backfires. It leads to something called ego depletion. Your willpower is like a muscle. Constantly acting against your core values wears it down, harming your performance and your well-being. This is why finding a workplace that aligns with your values isn't a luxury. It's foundational to a successful career. This search for alignment drives our job satisfaction in surprising ways. We know promotions feel good, often as good as a big pay raise. But here's the twist. Just the belief that you might get promoted can sometimes have an even stronger positive effect than the promotion itself. It's not just about the title or money, it's about our deep psychological need for progress, recognition, and hope. Smart companies design jobs to tap into these needs. The job characteristics model outlines 5 core elements that supercharge motivation. 3 of them create a sense of meaningfulness, skill variety, using different talents, task identity, completing a whole piece of work, and task significance, seeing how your work impacts others. The other 2 are autonomy, the freedom to do your work your way, which builds responsibility, and feedback, knowing how you're doing, which gives you knowledge of your results. When these 5 elements are present, motivation, performance, and satisfaction skyrocket. This scales up to teams. But here again, there's a counterintuitive insight. Surface-level diversity, different ages, backgrounds, can actually increase conflict and lower morale at first. Think of it as necessary growing pains. Effective managers know this, so they keep teams small. The sweet spot is 5 to 9 people, and actively support them through that initial friction. Over time, these teams become far more cohesive and effective. Of course, all of this depends on the organization itself. A company's strategy dictates its structure. If the strategy changes, the org chart, the processes, everything must adapt. This is all wrapped up in organizational culture, and here we must understand the critical difference between a diversity culture and a diversity climate. The culture is the official mission statement on the wall. The climate is the employees' shared perception of how things actually work day to day. The climate is what matters. A positive, authentic climate directly links to higher satisfaction, stronger commitment, and even better financial performance. But changing a climate, a culture, or a strategy is never easy. It's met with resistance. On an individual level, we resist because of habit, fear of the unknown, and something called selective information processing. We only hear what confirms our existing beliefs. At the organizational level, huge systems have structural inertia, departments have conflicting priorities, and any change can threaten established power structures. So how do you overcome this massive resistance? The answer is twofold. First, relentless, transparent communication. And second, leadership. In a crisis, you need transactional leadership, clear directives and rewards. But for deep, lasting change, you need transformational leaders who inspire a shared vision and connect the change to a greater good. This brings us to the ultimate consequence of a misaligned system stress. Workplace stressors are often systemic, impossible workloads, conflicting expectations, or toxic relationships. And honestly, the impact is devastating. One striking study found that in hospitals, caregivers had lower compliance with hand washing and safety procedures during long shifts with no breaks. Stress didn't just make them feel bad, it made them less safe. This isn't about telling employees to be more resilient. It's about the organization creating a structure that actively supports them. So we've journeyed from the unconscious triggers of a single personal habit to the complex machinery of an entire organization. And the lesson is the same at every level. It always comes back to understanding the underlying drivers, the determinants, the hidden currents that shape our actions. The real question to ask yourself now is, how might understanding these hidden levers empower you? How can it help you become a more effective agent of change, not just in your own life, but in your work, your community, and your world? It's all about learning to see the whole iceberg, not just the tip. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. If this sparked something for you, a like and subscribe is always appreciated. Until next time, keep looking beneath the surface.